All right, welcome into the show, everybody. America First Media here, Boston, Vegas, and we're gonna lead with leading story as usual, and then we're gonna cover a bunch of other topics today. But first, completely despicable. Let me just make sure we are live here, and we are. Disgraceful and traitorous. The New York Garbage Times calls Notorious and 9/11 mastermind Osama Bin Laden a devoted family man. So do you remember when the Washington Post glorified an evil terrorist as an austere religious scholar? Well, if you guys don't remember that, that was about a year ago, and they said Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, an austere religious scholar at the helm of the Islamic State, dies at 48. So that was then, and this is now. But going back to the story here, the New York Times just told them, "Hold my beer." In an unexplainable and abhorrent headline, the New York Times actually referred to Osama Bin Laden, one of the most notorious terrorists, and the man responsible for 2,977 Americans, to be exact, dying on 9/11 as a devoted family man. Yes, in case you're wondering, their slogan still reads, "All the news that's fit to print." And here you have a tweet from Julian Conradson. At New York Times, do you mean the Bin Laden who masterminded the 9/11 terrorist attack that killed almost 3,000 Americans and then used his multiple wives as human shields before Navy SEALs sent him to hell? New York Times, yes, that Bin Laden. And so here you go. Here is a screenshot. The article, written by Louise Richardson, was a review of Peter Bergen's book, The Rise and Fall of Osama Bin Laden. Richardson seems to admire the man behind countless terror attacks and calls the page a page-turner that weaves back and forth between the man and the terrorist. I don't really like saying that word because it's going to get me banned on YouTube, but oh well. She writes, two of Bin Laden's attributes that shine through in Bergen's account are his extraordinary self-belief and the ways in which he modeled his life on that of the Prophet Muhammad. Rather than try to explain where Bin Laden's self-confidence came from, Bergen simply describes it. It is all the more fascinating as a result. She compares Bin Laden to other revolutionaries and cites his inability to articulate a positive vision as to why the rest of the world could not get on board with the dictatorship that he was using in terrorism to create. Her disdain for America is also apparent, but hey, she wouldn't be a writer for the New York Times if it wasn't. In all of his speeches and papers, Bin Laden, like most revolutionaries, never articulated a positive vision of the new world he wished to create. The American counter-revolutionaries, for their part, invariably stretched the emergency powers they were accorded. Robert J. O'Neill, the former Navy SEAL who killed Bin Laden, ridiculed the outlet over their coverage of the former Al-Qaeda leader. Family man. He used his wife as a human shield. Lucky for me, he was taller than her. Tweeted Robert O'Neill, the man that put one right in his skull. New York Times is an anti-American joke. Where were they located on 9/11? All right, and now, you know, we don't really always know the full truth, and I think everybody watching this is going to agree that we know that our government is corrupt as well, and doesn't always give us the full story. And what I just want to know is, how did this guy's family own a $28 million mansion? Because this story came out the other day, and I was like, you know, I sent it to someone. I was like, you know, we're supposed to believe this guy was the number one terrorist in the world while his family owned a $30 million mansion in California, in Bel Air. And you can see photos of the mansion here. And that's, you know, and we know that in the beginning, you know, that the United States government worked with this guy. So, and then, you know, and then they made him out to be the most evil person in the world at the end, when we really know that he really held no power essentially, at the end of his reign. And he was, found in a cave, basically, and you all know how he went out. So, but, there's a lot of corrupt stuff going on within our government and the powers that be. So I just wanted to show you guys that, because a little hypocrisy there, that his family was even allowed to own a Bel Air mansion, while this whole thing was going on. It's just that insane. And it's not even like a distant family member. It was legit his brother. I mean, you can't even make it up. So, yeah, there's that. All right, on to the next story, guys. Alex Jones was right, goes viral on Twitter for exposing fetal organ harvesting. And Quartering did a video on this yesterday. It was funny. InfoWars founder Alex Jones was trending on Twitter Thursday after users pointed out that he was criticized in 2019 for claiming aborted babies were having their organs harvested, an allegation now publicly admitted. You can see the trend here. That was before the people at Twitter, had to suppress that. And you can see the tweet from the Quartering. Popular YouTuber The Quartering commented on the Posebiec tweet saying, "Place his quarter in the Alex Jones was right jar." And Jack Posebiec also tweeted, there was a man who went around warning the government and scientists were harvesting baby organs, funded China to make chimeric viruses, and deploying federal agents for domestic plots, but all of social media banned him 3 years ago. I wonder who that one man was. Every single time he was right. Look at the headline back then. Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, war leads to a conspiracy theory meltdown. InfoWars host says babies harvested for organs. 2019, 2021. Millions in federal money followed to tissue bank that collected fetal heart, gonads, legs, and brain. Report. Here was another headline. Alex Jones has irrational ragegasm on Trump conspiracy theory over abortions for organ harvesting. And here, breaking. The University of Pittsburgh admitted to news media today that ischemia, the loss of blood supply, does not happen until after they cut the kidneys out of an aborted baby. The fetuses are delivered alive. This is either partial birth abortion or infanticide. Everyone plays this as a gift, but omits the context. Alex Jones completely lost it on Eddie Bravo over the full-term baby organ harvesting program.
Do you really think there's people out there campaigning for late-term abortions? You think that shit's real? You think that shit's real?
Voted Monday to keep it legal.
Who would do that? Who would do that? Who would campaign for? That's
They
the most.
fucking did it,
That is
Bravo.
the craziest shit
You
ever.
can't fucking admit they're fucking killing already born kids. So you're telling me it isn't real when they had a fucking vote in the goddamn fucking Senate?
That's a conspiracy theory.
I am ready to beat your
That's a
fucking
conspiracy theory.
You think you're fucking tough? You're about to get.
You really?
How good is that? How good is that?
So the baby's worth $500,000.
Who's paying that?
In the chain of delivery, just on time delivery. Each organ's worth a lot of money. And so, but if you kill them right on the spot, they're like, why are we wasting this 7 pounds of meat? So see, if they can keep them alive, and now they've built these new wings. They've built new wings. No, I can pull up. They have wings where they go, oh, we consider the baby dead. The mother decided it didn't live. If she decides we resuscitate and it lives, but it didn't resuscitate, its flesh, it's a legalese, it's passed into a special ward with doctors that make a few million a year, and the little flesh ball is kept alive and comfortable until all the orders come in, the planes land, and they take the organs, then they take the blood, and they take the skin, Joe. You see how it works? Now
Dude,
you know
you're freaking
why.
me out with this voice.
No, but see, it's a southern loving voice.
Oh.
You see, my dad new organ harvesters in Dallas. And he said, don't sign your organ donor card. They've got corrupt hospitals where if you're totally viable, they take your organs.
Oh, Jesus
And
Christ.
then I said, Dad, you're crazy, but I didn't sign the organ donor card. And then my dad owned a hospital, too, in Dallas. Then when I was a decade later at my grandparents' house before my grandpa died, watching 60 Minutes, and it was Dallas, Texas, and Chicago caught killing people that were viable to take their organs tonight. The 60 Minutes expose. And it was the freaking hospital my dad told me about.
Jesus Christ.
So, Joe, that's what I'm telling you is, were you at the kitchen table when you were 8 hearing about cyborgs? See,
No.
that's why I know about this. My dad never got fully into it. He decided to get out of it.
Were you at the kitchen table when you were 8 hearing about cyborgs? Oh, it's too good. It's too good. I love me some Alex. Okay. All right. Next story. The Minnesota woman who was beheaded in broad daylight by illegal alien after judge allowed killer back on the street. And her name was America. America Thayer was found beheaded in Shakopee, Minnesota in late July in broad daylight. Minnesota woman was beheaded on the street in a Minneapolis suburb. 42-year-old Alex Sabret was arrested for the crime. He knew the victim. It was his ex-girlfriend, but he was already came over in 2007. Illegal Cuban immigrant through El Paso, and released. Committed several crimes throughout his tenure in America. Was supposed to be deported, never was, and there you have it. Ends up beheading an innocent woman after being let back out on the streets. So we're not going to really read that article because it's disturbing, but yeah, that's what happens when you let these evil people back on the streets and you don't put them where they belong. Bad stuff happens. All right. Here we go again. We just did a video on this yesterday with the girl that, Creepy Joe touched about 6 years ago. And she's all grown up now, and she confirmed that, yes, he did pinch her and touch her nipple. Well, this creepy guy just can't help himself. Joe Biden on Thursday announced he will award congressional gold medals to police officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th. Oh, God. Joe Biden lied about the Capitol protest and said 2 officers were killed that day. We know that's not true. We know that Ashley Babbitt was actually shot by a Capitol police officer. Then Biden invited the children of the officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th up to his bill signing. Here is a video of this. Take a look. Creepy Joe. And you could just see the look on this girl's face says it all. Just look at this look as he puts his arm around her waist area. Just creepy, downright creepy, and he just cannot help himself. All right, on to the next story. Report: Fauci oversaw dangerous, torturous experiments on dogs. Actually, I haven't even read this one yet, but it just sounds horrible, and I am a dog person, so I just want to read this one real quick and see what's going on here. In addition to overseeing funding of gain-of-function coronavirus experiments in Wuhan and then lying about it, it has now emerged that Dr. Fauci was in charge of funding horrid experimental research on dogs, including purposefully injecting the animals with parasites known to be contagious to humans. Wow, some guy this guy is, huh? The report from the White Coat Waste Project draws on information gleaned from a Freedom of Information request, which revealed that $400,000 was pumped into the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease experiments to infect beagles with parasites from biting flies. The report outlines how the dogs endured months of pain, and once researchers were done with them, they were killed. Oh my God. That is so disgusting. The NIAID task order states that 28 beagles were to be allowed to develop infections for 3 months before being euthanized for blood collection. Wow. This guy is... This is just making me sick right now. Wow. The records obtained under the FOI Freedom of Information Act request show the dogs vocalized pain during the experiments. Oh my God. Torturing and killing dogs, the most loving and innocent creatures on earth, with deadly parasites that are also extremely dangerous to people. Can this guy get any more evil? What's next? Funding for research on what temperature it is best to roast newborn babies? And here's a clip of Fox actually talking about it.
If Dr. Anthony Fauci thought Rand Paul was mad at him, wait until the animal activists see this. A new report shows that under Fauci's direction, the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Disease funded painful and deadly experiments on dogs to the tune of more than $400,000. According to the White Coat Waste Project, researchers used biting flies to infect dozens of healthy beagles with parasites to test an experimental drug. Records show the dogs endured months of pain, and once researchers were done with them, they were killed. Here to react, Lara Logan, host of Lara Logan Has No Agenda on Fox Nation, and Justin Goodman of the White Coat Waste Project. Justin, let me begin with you. What did you find in terms of your research on this?
Well, everyone knows that Anthony Fauci potentially caused the pandemic with reckless animal experiments over in Wuhan. But we track federal spending, particularly at the NIH, and through the Freedom of Information Act, we learned that the Fauci's division specifically recently contracted $400,000 for a university experiment where they bought 28 healthy beagles. The NIH website says they choose beagles because they're small and docile. Read, that means they are easy to abuse. They took these 28 healthy beagles, infected them with parasites by, as they've done in the past, strapping devices to them that allow flies to eat them alive, basically, give them parasites, and then they killed the dogs at the end of the study, even though they could have been rehabilitated and adopted out. This is a classic example of not following the science. These experimental drugs have already been extensively tested in other animals, including dogs, in the past. The FDA says that testing on dogs is not necessary. The EPA and the VA have ended dog testing or are about to end dog testing, and the NIH admits that 90% of these animal tests fail to translate to humans.
Lara, I love dogs. I assume you do as well. I'm trying to contain myself on this story. This is just really infuriating. How can something like this happen at taxpayer expense, nonetheless?
Well, actually, I'm sitting here with my little dog on my lap. She's on my lap for every live shot. She never leaves me alone. She usually, keeps her head down. So this is Honey, if you want to see her. I mean, it just happened. We didn't plan that, I'll be honest. So, I mean, like most people, right? How could you not love dogs? I mean, this has to be something that people everywhere are united on. In fact, there's supposed to be far fewer experiments on animals, and particularly dogs, because so many people are really just horrified by it. There's ethical considerations, there's moral considerations, and of course there's the practical considerations. We know that these kind of things do happen, but should they be happening with taxpayer money? That's a very important question. And it's certainly, Dr. Fauci is increasingly becoming Dr. Evil, right? Because over and over again, the decisions that he has made that have just destroyed millions of lives all over the world is becoming more apparent by day. But we don't know so much about what he's doing. We don't know what he's doing, what they're doing at the NIH with animals. We don't know what research they're funding into gain of function, which is, I mean, let's be honest about it, right? It's bioweapons research. That's what they're really doing, is creating bioweapons. We don't know how many people have died, how many kids have lost their education, how mental health has been affected, how other diseases, economies destroyed. I mean, it is just really staggering, the impact of the way this has been handled. And, I'll tell you, Ben, I was in Liberia Liberia at the height of the Ebola epidemic, the worst in history, and you had a 99.99% chance of dying. That was truly terrifying. When you're talking about a disease where you have a 99.9% chance of survival, it really is staggering that we are just wrecking apart everything that we have ever known, from our liberties to our mental health to our physical well-being, and the poverty that will affect generations to come. So what exactly is Dr. Fauci doing with animals? What experiments is the NIH conducting? These are questions that we really need to answer. And Fauci's been lying to Congress. They've been hiding gain of function. They're doctoring all the numbers. They talk about the spread of the Delta variant, but they don't talk about how many people are asymptomatic, how many people are actually sick. They don't talk about the death rates. They don't talk about ambulatory protocols. They don't talk about all the medicines that you can take that heal you. And the big question is, why not? And who's going to hold him to account?
Well, I want to thank Justin for the research that you've done at White Coat Waste Project. Where can folks go to learn more about what you do?
You can visit us at whitecoatwaste.org or on any social media platform at whitecoatwaste.
It's important.
Okay, yeah, it's that's a terrible story. This guy's Dr. Evil is a good word for him. All right, we're going to wrap up the show. Just want to show you a couple other things real quick. Look at this headline. Woman leans out of car holding an AK-47 in San Francisco in broad daylight. So this is the new America. During an illegal exhibition of a speed event at Barnveld and McKinnon, a passenger leaned out of a caddy holding a AK-47. Okay, so streets look like they're getting nice and safe, huh? Just get it. Rhino, Maryland governor threatens to impose lockdowns if more people don't get it. Get the jab, man. Just get it. Whistleblower confirms injection. The jabs are poisonous. And I will just play you the first minute of that real quick.
When they started saying they wanted to go and inject children whose natural immune system is far superior than any vaccine or product could be. I mean, just their natural immune response, you couldn't make something statistically or clinically superior to that. That was when a red flag went off. And I thought I would just start investigating more of the data that I could find online from the FDA filings, as well as, some of the studies that were done to just prove that it wasn't necessary for children to get injected. And when I found the patents, I was very alarmed because they didn't read as a vaccine. They read as a bioweapon, basically. And then I went back and I found some of the original studies where they used bat coronaviruses and spiked them, if you will. They used they created these chimeric superviruses using HIV glycoproteins and the GAG protein. And it was very alarming and upsetting. And when I realized what Americans were making themselves susceptible to, it was an anchor around my heart. So I put together a 2-page email with all the references and the studies and the patents, and I sent it out to about 30 or so media outlets and influencers.
Good job, lady. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you do it. All right, wrapping it up here. 3 CNN employees fired for going to work unvaccinated, and in the past week we've been aware of 3 employees who are coming to the office unvaccinated. Let me be clear: we have a zero tolerance policy on this. Blah, blah, blah. So they're getting rid of their own over there at CNN. That's funny to see. In case you didn't want an electric car, well, you're going to be forced to get one soon, within a decade or so. So Biden signs order to have 50% of U.S. auto sales electric by 2030. And they're going to shove that green car, electric car down your throat, whether you want it or not. So there's that. And then the last story here, I will let you guys just read the title for yourself, and then you can go to InfoWars and do the research for yourself on this title here. You may be thinking it's a good thing, however, we know when big tech has power and they, as the old saying goes, if you aren't doing anything illegal, then you have nothing to fear from surveillance. But you can go ahead and read that article and make your own decision whether you think that's a good thing or not. And let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications on YouTube, on BitChute. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.